Hey y'all, welcome to the Deja Radcliffe channel. And I am sitting here, right, fresh off of work. I work two jobs. And at work, I had my headphones in and I was listening to Elevation. And he said he made what a month? Comments on the Joe Budden podcast, the Joe Budden network, the Joe Budden TV. And I said, oh no. I said, let me start. Because I always have something to say and I'm always in his comments. So I said, hey, what's another girl voice, gonna do to the atmosphere? Maybe nothing much. But maybe down the line it could be shaken up. So everyone has different perspectives because we all watch the JPP. But what can I think of? Or what really shocks me when I watch it? Now, what I want to do today is just piggyback off of Elevation last video to where he said he made 4,500 a month doing what? And I working two jobs. And in Elevation, I have to admit that when I seen that 43,000 and Prize Picks money and Joe Prize Pick out, I like the stream. Cause I ain't even got 4,500, 45,000 in my goddamn savings. So at this damn point, I might as well make the content. I might as well make the content. Okay, y'all. Yes, I got my family reunion shirt on, y'all. Yes, family reunion shirt. Yes, just want to come to y'all, let y'all know that. Yes, because I'm just getting off work, so can't tell y'all where I work at both of my jobs. Can't tell y'all where I work at, but yeah. So going on elevation. I wanted to start with because it's hot in my house, y'all. I know y'all see my glasses fogging up. It's hot in my house. I just turned the air on. It's actually getting warm outside at a steady warm rate. So finally just turned the air on. Elevation. Um, when I want to piggyback off a comment that you made based off of Joe making nine figures, right? And I believe that he's making nine figures in this next prize pick deal. But I want to segue that and to talk about some other things. Not only is he going to make that, but as I was saying in your comments one time, that New Jersey will be the headquarters for the Joe Budden Network, right? And I want to expand on that, right? Joe always says something. I noticed, and you noticed because I actually watched Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, and Nightcap when it first popped off. And I was looking at what you call it? Colin, whatever his name is. And he worked with Shannon, at Fox Sports One. And I was always listening to Shannon's story about how he said, he loved and he know what he was gonna do. Just go back and listen to Shannon's story. And he said that, him and Colin talked about it and he started his own podcast. But when we sit back and look at Shannon Sharp, we know that he didn't have that mindset or inkling to do certain things. I definitely think Colin kind of helped shape him and help shape what he's doing now. And I'm saying that to say I watched when Shannon had no viewers on Club Shay Shay and Nightcap to go to 1 million viewers. And every day he would stay on until they get a certain amount of viewers. He was like, hey, we need 10,000 a night, or hey, we need 5,000 a night. Do I believe that was bots? Yes, but there was bots, I believe, paid for by allegedly the volume, right? Because if you look at it, Shannon, the volume with Shannon Sharp Nightcap, that became the flagship of the volume, and that gave Colin more room to say, hey, we have this show under the volume and it's doing XYZ a night. We're going just growing at a crazy rate. And I believe um that's how he made more relationships, and I believe he got more sponsors. I don't believe, now looking back at it, that he got the Boost Mobile by himself. He got the DraftKings by himself. But most importantly, well, Rose Sparks. So, but let me rephrase that. When he first signed up, Shannon Sharp had the volume signed with the DraftKings sign. So I think once he signed to the volume, concurrently anything under the volume exclusively signed up with DraftKings. Go look at Podcast 520. Go look at the Bubba Dub Show. After that, Shannon Sharp, I believe got the road sparks. That he did not get that on his own. He got that exclusively under the volume, okay? But all this is gonna come around. Let me show you what I mean for New Jersey gonna be the headquarters for Joe. All right. After that, the Boost Mobile sponsorship came. But you notice Coach Prime and all of them, they got Boost Mobile. So that probably be ancillary to just isolated sponsorship, right? But I want to go back to say, hey, also, once Rory and Mal went over there to the volume, they immediately got the Rose Sparks. They immediately got the Rose Sparks sponsorship. So bringing this back around to Joe, that is what Joe is going to be doing. And I keep saying we're saying the Joe Budden Network, but I'm going to phrase it as the new Joe Budden Network. The new ancillary. Joe is gonna JBN is here, and you know how like under LLC, what is it called, DBAs or whatever, you got subsidiary LLCs under the main one. I'm probably saying it wrong, but this is what Joe is gonna do. So anybody that he's gonna eventually sign is gonna eventually fall under Prize Picks. And what I mean that he's following the volume path, Joe see that, hey, I don't have to go build studios if I don't want to. Some of these places that to podcasts he might sign, either he's going to help build them a show, or most of them already come with a space that they pay for that he might add his little logo in the back. So go back to Shannon Sharp as well. Shannon Sharp had the nightcap with the Boost Mobile, him and Ocho, and that's when Ocho threw the jersey over the nightcap, over the Boost Mobile sign that was in the back. So what I mean is that this 9-figure deal is gonna include Joe signing more podcasts, and and being in New Jersey is gonna be the headquarters for all of this. Now, what I will say is that with this 9-figure deal that Joe just got off the JBN, I believe what he should do, or what he potentially can do, is have some of his friends in the world, and we all know he loves Ray Daniels, right? And Ray Daniels has his location set up and everything, and Ray Daniels pushes stuff out through YouTube. I think Joe, what he should do with this 9-figure deal, I think he should lease podcasts or sponsor a lease for podcasts. Hear me out. Joe, what you should do is sign a podcast and sign them for 6 months, right? And let those podcasts still continue to drop their episode on YouTube, but also record an extra YouTube, maybe potentially under Patreon, right? Because that'd be more funny. Maybe they can add added takes or whatever to what the stuff they couldn't say via YouTube exclusively on Patreon. Or you can just sign a 6-month sponsorship agreement to sponsor their podcast. Y'all, we are here, and most of the podcasts, they might not be signed up with DraftKings or Private. They might not have the purchasing power or the analytics. So automatically, just like simultaneously the volume is going to come with maybe the Rose Sparks and the DraftKings. But in your case, this is going to come with the potential Patreon and or just the Prize Picks logo. And you can disperse some of that 4,300. Say, hey, Prize Pick, I don't want the whole 4,300 in my Prize Pick thing. I want to allocate 5,000 to this new sponsorship flagship company that this podcast that I'm sponsoring. So they can have some purchasing power with that. But exclusively on their podcast that they do drop from YouTube, they can say, hey, we are now sponsored by the JBN. Or if you can't get this content, show them how it feels to be under Patreon and drop an episode under Patreon and see if some of their viewers and maybe get a certain amount of viewers that may sign up for free, or maybe they can start off at $5. But I guarantee you, Joe, because you are the flagship for Patreon, starting with that billboard. Y'all, I'm not leaving this. I'm gonna come back to Joe Budden and that billboard. But have their stuff move exclusively on the Patreon and maybe just for the view of it for free, but they can still make money off of their YouTube. So have Ray Daniels still drop his content on YouTube. Work something out with Ray Daniels to where he can drop it exclusive under the Joe Budden Network on Patreon, or get Mark Lamont Hill. Mark Lamont Hill is the flagship, just like Joe, you are the flagship for Patreon. Mark is going to be the face of the Joe Budden Network as like the flagship, just like Joe is doing with Patreon, right? And get Mark to drop some exclusive content under the Joe Budden Network. And just like you did the basketball game or something like that, or maybe just drop an episode itself and see what the analytics do just for Mark. And sponsor that episode under Prize Pitch, just like the volume do, it comes with that. So just do 1 or 2 episodes. But Joe, this lease thing or show, just like Need to Know podcast, right? They have a certain amount of viewers and followers already, and say, hey, for this 6 months, we want to see you grow XYZ. And some episodes can be exclusively under Patreon or whatever. So Joe can use that to say, hey, this is what XYZ we can do. And Joe, you more smarter than me, Ian, you're smarter than me. So you guys can kind of think of an idea within the idea I'm saying. But just do it for 6 months. Don't renew that lease. Don't renew it. Right? But this is going to help you in saying, hey, Joe is helping people understand how to do Patreon, because some people got a Patreon account and people not even subscribing to their Patreon for free, where they put free content at, even as a podcast. So what I think Joe should do, he should either sponsor a podcast for 6 months or have somebody in their satellite office drop content exclusively under the JBN and see how the analytics go. I think that's going to be big, because now it's no more really in-house podcast to where you got a building. I think 85 South Show is one of them shows that really got a building to where most of their podcasts kind of work out of. But for Joe to be satellite, and especially this will be good to where in Houston as well, where Sade is at, right? So he can fly down there. He don't necessarily have to stay down there, but build something out there with different podcasts and different people, and make Houston could potentially be another big flagship office space, or buy a building just like 85 South, but cheaper in Houston, and let podcast go build their set out of there and make different things. I'm telling you, even Jeremy Heck, he got his own sound check episode What would be cool when the music tape from Germany had to quote unquote let him do a 6 month lease, even if he dropped the same episode under his YouTube, and even if he dropped the same episode on the Patreon, how many people will look at what he's doing on the Patreon and that will go subscribe to his YouTube channel, which you can watch those analytics. So I think a leasing agreement will be good, and more people will say, hey, Joe is doing this. This is something exclusive. Even with Mona, we know Mona tour. So Mona wouldn't be a person that I would sign for a year, even if she's not on the JBP main show. But do an exclusive 6 months package with her and have people subscribe under the JBN, or work it out some way if you understand what I'm saying. But for Joe to have his 9-figure deal, I expect his setup to be like the volume. And I also expect Joe Budden to have a space just like Gil's Arena for just strictly sports. We heard him talk about Gil Arena and Podcast 520, but mainly Gil's Arena and him and Gil getting it off the bat with getting that large money from Underdog, and Gil whole scene, Gil cameras, Gil everything for sports. Take a person and put people around him, Joe, and pay for them just like Gil is paying for everybody under the sponsorship ad. Take another retired person that might not have a podcast, or a person that we want to listen to in sports, but they don't really got no space to hold to make them a flagship of a sports show and align people around them and do an exclusive 6 month thing. And but I do believe Joe need a room where he watch all the games, or where whoever watch all the games at. How Gil got personally, I think, at his house with the setup, and it's like a big room with 6 or 7 TVs, and he got the camera. Joe is gonna get something like that, so he can do like exclusive interviews and potentially on behalf of Paris Pigs and something like that. But Elevation, you was right to say that. Hey, Joe is going to get off this couch, and he's gonna go because he got business to handle. Joe has to start flying out of state to go to Indiana, where Indiana is becoming a big market now. OKC is starting to become a big market. Joe is going to set up flagship Joe Button podcast, or whoever podcast it should be. But Joe Button Sports. Everybody got just like Complex, right? They starting to do Complex music segment, Complex Sports, Complex XYZ. And that's kind of between the Complex and how they're doing stuff, or iHeart and how they're doing stuff. Joe is gonna set up a Spotify way. Just because he didn't get Spotify, Joe is gonna set up a Spotify way to int- integrate all this stuff. And plus, we all know that Joe eventually is gonna get everything back eventually with the whole pump it up thing in a couple of years. Because just remember LL gave him his plaque and he was speaking on it. All of this stuff is gonna go concurrently with Joe's plan. And Joe is gonna exclusively, I believe, give the NBA right to the song with Pump It Up. And it's gonna be through Pass Picks. See, this the thing. Y'all thinking about Joe just because somebody's back there working the song too. Joe is gonna sign something through Prize Picks to have this music exclusively. And also Elevation, you was right with that run your game. That's all I know now. When they do the Prize Pick ad, run your game. Or when I see a commercial, it's run your game. It's all of that. It's all of that for Prize Picks. So Joe, I don't know what you're gonna do with all the money in the world, but I'm pretty sure you gotta up end pay, you gotta up parts pay, you gotta up some people pay. But you might be spending a little bit of money as sponsorship package to have people just sponsor the JBM, or just do that for 6 months or something to get people to sign up exclusively on Patreon. Right? It's not gonna be, oh, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Joe Button, if he start paying people to say, hey, go follow this episode. It can be one episode. This episode is sponsored by the Joe Budden Network with what you all know as the Joe Budden Podcast. Sign up exclusively on Patreon, not YouTube. We're not even talking about YouTube. We're talking about Patreon because this Prize Picks ad and this Patreon, it works simultaneously. And I want to get back to the Patreon. Joe haven't said anything else about Patreon after he did that billboard. Why is it silence? Why is it silence? What is it that they're working on? To where Joe is to where Prize Picks is actually having like purchasing power or whatever they do with the collective data. I think Joe is gonna get on the tech side of Patreon. Not even though he might own a piece, but I think he's gonna get into big tech, right? Because tech is the thing now that's pushing forward with AI. And he already said he got the Zoom AI to listen to how many words, how many times you on your phone, how it already records and all of that stuff. But I think Joe is going to get on the tech side of Patreon to see how it works on the overview. And since Joe is their flagship person, don't be surprised if Joe takes some of the Prize Pit money and do a little bit to push Patreon or something, or Patreon just give Joe some money, and Joe got a little bit more wiggle space and not having to be at the main pod, because he can do more stuff exclusively to build up Patreon for purchasing power. So for this episode, Joe, I know this was a long one. If you ever see this or Elevation, tell Joe to see this. But I'm not so far off what I think Joe might do. But now that some of the cities are coming, are moving up, or even, you know what, I want to also say, also Joe, take that show. That I like it too. What's the last take with the guys? And it is what it ain't. Use people like that in a flagship model like that, to whereas they already got followers or something, and build them up and make them exclusively to the JBN. But like I said, don't keep people after 6 months. Move on to a different podcast. And once people feel like, yo, they got that move, that purchasing power, they may never get all the perks that they get under you, Joe. But for them to have the taste of what it feel like being under the Joe Budden Network exclusively with Prize Picks, that's going to be something major. To whereas they're going to work more harder, but Joe, your name is going to be all in different rooms, And I say that, don't hold them too long to 6 months, because as you know, a scandal can come up, people catching lawsuits. So it's just like you leasing a podcast or sponsoring a podcast for 6 months. So don't hold people too long to whereas you have to where you have to basically say, I got them locked in for a year, they can't go nowhere, and this hurt my brain. Just do it for 6 months. So even if something happened within a month or two, or even if it's court filings, you can easily get off. You can easily get off the train or whatever like that. But Elevation, you right, it's 9 figures, and we're gonna see something for Joe that we never seen before, and we don't know what that looked like. I believe Joe is potentially gonna have to get more legal counsel. I think I seen legal counsel on the in the credits too. But Joe gonna have to start getting more legal counsel. That's what it's gonna come down to exclusively do all these contracts and not spread his legal team through too thin, and also do the 50 Cent route to where he just got general counsel. I think Joe, if he don't already have that, I think he's gonna have to hire a bigger team for the amount. He's gonna have to duplicate everybody. And he's gonna have to sponsor. I believe too. I know Park said he want to kind of like do other stuff as well. Pay Park on the side to teach somebody as an intern, and so Parks can train them up to work your other podcast flagships that you are building. So I know, understand that you're gonna find a place just like you do Potwise and have that set up and have somebody there or whatever like that. But then also, you know, do that, but then also have other people here. Joe gonna have to build up a team. So now, a secondary team. So yeah, they're gonna see the money rolling in, but Joe have to build up his legal. He gonna have to build up the photos. He gonna have to build up another like I said, general counsel. Joe's gonna have to do that now. So that's where most of the money is gonna go now, and being able to sponsor like Jeremy had, or sponsor a podcast or something like that. But anyway, this is my first video. I haven't necessarily commented on anything else I've seen in the last video, but I do have my comments about it. But I'm gonna keep that here. So elevation. Right now, I think I got like 9 followers on this channel. If I get to 50 subscribers, I don't even know you, elevation, but I'm definitely gonna pay you because I'm not monetizing nothing. I don't even know how to make shorts or nothing. All I know is click the button to go live. If I get to 100 subscribers, elevation, I'm looking out for you as well because it is, what time is it? It's 12:53 in the morning on June 9th. So I got to go to bed because I got to be up at 5 o'clock. So thank y'all for watching. Elevation, take some stuff out of this and let me know. Actually, come back and do a review on my channel. And, if you can for the free, let me know. Give me some subscribers. I'll look out for you. All right, y'all. Peace.